So until I hit mute.
Yeah. All right, it is 6:30. I call the meeting of the city council to order. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Cruz. Here. Mahaffey.
Here.
Schlegel.
Here.
Zeidman.
Here.
Travell.
Here.
West.
Here.
Bruckner.
Here.
Kicker.
Here. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, I'm rolling all over. I'm gonna turn this off.
Does anyone intend to record this meeting? Do we have any public comments? I'm sorry, I didn't. Yeah, one. Thanks, I appreciate that. Right.
Thank you so much, Mayor Vandermeer, and we're at the city council. I appreciate the chance to just briefly discuss the proposal regarding Genesee Streets. I did earlier today drop off additional signatures in opposition to the proposal for major changes at the intersection. We have signatures from 117 additional residents and visitors to Morrison in opposition to major changes, bringing the total to 243 residents and visitors opposed to major changes at the Genesee Street intersection. My previous comments address my position on that project. Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right, city officers, department heads, committees, Nathan is unable to be with us tonight, but he did submit a written report. Do you have any comments?
I have two quick comments. I just want to remind everyone that the next meeting is on Tuesday, October 10th at 6:30, not Monday. Due to what Illinois still recognizes as Columbus Day. So I just want to make that reminder. Still working on ideas, options for our groomer as I sent an email out to each of you about that piece of equipment for the sports complex is out of service permanently. So last couple of years, we have been trying to plan for its replacement. They've just gotten fairly pricey, $30,000 to $35,000. So we just want to make sure we're considering the right thing before I bring that to you for your consideration. So that's all.
All right. And Chief has also provided a written report. Do you wish to elaborate on that?
Sure. So, the first thing on there is, I had a meeting with Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the organization, about trying to start like a mentoring program, just getting involved with the kids here in Morrison, see what building relationships and things we can do to assist someone that could use a little more guidance. So we're gonna be working on that, see if we can improve that and be more involved. Continuing good relations with neighboring police departments. We assisted Fulton Police Department recently with their homecoming parade, providing additional traffic security for them. And then I recently attended a new police chief's orientation training, which was very beneficial, providing the topics that we talked about, which I really appreciated attending. And in the community, we had our, of course, our fun slinger, Paint the Town. Recently, both events went out very well, no issues. Officers were in attendance, they had a good time, everybody attended had a good time. Then we, of course, this Friday coming up, there's the Morrison High School homecoming parade. So we will be also assisting with that, providing traffic direction. And on the last part, we have unfortunately lost, I spoke about, we lost our two officers that resigned, Officer Terry Spencer and Shepard. So the last day was just this past week, so we wish them the best. Appreciate their service to our community for the time that they did serve here. And we are currently taking that case to fill those two spots, and hopefully it does not take too long, but that's something we're working on. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 5 items on the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove an item from consent?
Hearing none, would there be a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the minutes, bills payable, treasurer's report, trick or treating, and a proclamation which we have generally done each August for domestic violence awareness?
So
Second.
It's on the floor for discussion. Is there any further discussion on any of the 5 items in the consent agenda? If not, clerk, would you call the roll because it does include money?
Cruz,
Yes.
Mahaffey,
yes,
Schlegel,
Yes.
Zeideman,
Yes.
Travell,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Brookner,
Yes.
Pickler,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, action items, to the mower, replacement, starting on your page 16. This has been, was brought up for discussion before, or we had talked about it before. We wanted to get it properly bid. And City Administrator Melton described it in his email in advance of the meeting. He was to speak to it further.
Just to recap that, one of our mowers that we use for some of the hills and terrain out at the, water treatment plant and some of the roads that have a little steeper grade, a zero turn really doesn't work well with those. So we've always had a tractor style, belly mower, 72-inch, 6-foot, mower on it out at the, sewer plant. And going through some options, I've outlined the 3 options you have to repair it. To purchase a used one, or option 3, purchase a new one. And with Alderman Zeideman's help, I recommend to the council to consider purchasing, pending approval from a test run with our staff. I recommend approval of the Cub Cadet from Berkey's.
I also recommend that. Cadet. Oh, cadet.
is that because of the price, Harvey, or because of the performance?
But
Is that because of the price or because of the performance?
for the price, I think the performance will be as good as a big clumsy tractor, whatever you call it, compact tractor they call
Okay,
So I think we need we do need a motion to get this on the floor for further discussion. So may I take Alderman Zeideman's comment as a motion to approve option 3, and I'll call it the 3rd item in option 3. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you. That's the recommendation, and now we have a motion and a second to approve that. Is there any further discussion? Disagreement? Would you rather try something else?
I'll explain what it is. It's somewhat similar to a zero turn. They do not want a zero turn, but this is similar size. It has a steering wheel. It's steerable. It has dual rear tires. It is designed to run on hillsides.
Commercial grade.
It's, yes, it's the top of their line. It has a very plush seat. It's an air ride. It tilts. It's an air ride. It's gonna be long.
Harvey's looking for a job.
All right.
They should love it.
Any further discussion? So this would be, would you be amenable to having the motion pending approval of city staff who actually be using that? I think we wanted to have the staff to approve it or to give their okay.
what if they? I mean.
They don't like it, we'll be back here talking to you in
Right,
2
right,
weeks.
I don't know that the decision can be solely the staff members, I mean, aren't they gonna want always bigger and better?
well, it's not necessarily that, it's they want to test it, they want to run it, before we actually sign on the dotted line and say we want it. Everything by paper and design and everything that we know about it, it seems to be the perfect solution. We just want that last component by testing it, and because they don't have any in stock, we have to go down to a gentleman that just bought this exact mower from Berkey's down by Hillsdale, so we have to go down there, test it, and determine if it will run for us.
So, that brings up a question for me, how soon, let's say we order this, can they get it to us? Is it gonna be productive for this season? Are we gonna be on a waiting list with supply chain things and?
No, getting in stock would be somewhat short term, even though we're not really concerned with it, as long as we have it by spring,
Hmm,
so. We can get by the rest of the season. Pray for frost.
We get some more rain yet. Thank you. Any further discussions, questions? All right, this is, has money involved, so we need a roll call vote. Clerk, would you call?
So what are we voting on?
Yeah.
For consideration or?
The purchase pending
Purchase.
staff approval of the Club Cadet Pro Z 972. No, that's it's a valid question.
Cruz. Yes. Mahaffey,
yeah,
Schlegel,
Yes.
Zimer,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Bruckner,
Yes.
Tickler.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Start on your page 22, property that the city owns to be annexed into the city limits, commonly referred to as the township buildings, which we purchased from them some years ago. And then just to put that into the city limits, refer that resolution to planning and zoning with anticipation of acting on their recommendation at the next or the following council meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
second,
Any questions, discussions regarding that action?
Is this in case we ever sell it and so we would have like water customer? Is that what our thinking is on this or like what? Why is this a benefit while we own it? I guess is my question.
For that purpose, if we ever dispose of it in one way or the other, it still becomes property within the city limits, right? That we could somehow otherwise benefit from, whether it's a
Yeah.
business,
Yeah,
whatever.
this isn't presuming that that's in motion. It's just in case. of
No,
that.
this is just, through this whole process of purchasing our new public, works building. I discovered that we bought the property, but we never annexed it, so it's a fairly simple process. It takes a little time, but it's a fairly simple process, worth doing for sure.
Further discussion, questions? If not, we can do this on a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none. That's unanimous. Item 4, Genesee Street, Lincoln Way intersection improvement plan. We have reproduced the presentation from our last meeting on your pages 25 to 47. And we have put forth a draft resolution regarding removal of the traffic signals and the implied traffic direction on Genesee Street. Just to be clear, this has nothing to do with closing the 200 block of Genesee Street between Lincoln Way and Main. This is all about, shall we remove the traffic signals or shall we not?
But Mayor, could you remind us, or me at least?
Yeah.
what that does mean, moving the light? There are some ramifications that are automatically. triggered.
Automatic,
Can you
yes,
remind us of that?
thank you for asking, automatic. Genesee Street becomes one way, one block northbound from the highway and one way southbound from the highway. There will be no turning onto the highway from Genesee Street in either direction. And that goes back over a year ago from guidance we got from IDOT. Is there a motion to approve for further discussion?
I'm going to, bring up. This resolution is not on the agenda, so it therefore cannot be voted on tonight. That needed to be put in number 4.
Not necessarily true. The topic of the discussion is on the agenda. You don't have to necessarily be that explicit in the agenda item on what you're doing.
I have
Don't-
never
don't
seen
let
that
that-
done.
Don't let that prevent you from doing something either way.
I've never seen this done before that way.
Well,
I think it does add pressure when, and this has happened in the past, when, you know, we're voting on a specific ordinance or lobbying back and forth on how we want to alter that ordinance when I wish we could arrive at consensus into kind of generally what that ordinance to state and then write it and then vote on it, as opposed to have such a cut and dry right now. A straight up resolution, we can hack it up to pieces, but it does seem a little rushed to vote on a resolution.
I agree, I'm not comfortable as of yet voting on a resolution because it's been motioned and seconded. And making that drop that decision tonight, to be honest.
yeah, that's totally up to the council. The resolution was only prepared. Should you guys decide to make that decision tonight, you could move forward with approving the resolution and taking that first step in this project. That's all. It's not being force fed to you or anything like that. It's just, it was prepared. I prepared it. So, I was just trying to be prepared, that's all. Whether you are ready to make a decision is totally up to you. I'm just trying to be one step ahead. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not, so.
I mean, at the last meeting, a majority of us would. Right, and then we wanted to, step 1, remove the stoplights and then proceed down, so. I mean, I guess I don't, with it being on this meeting agenda or the next one. Our majority said that we all pretty much wanted to remove the stoplight.
Yeah, but I mean, you're making assumptions though, that what about the conversations between that last meeting and our constituents?
Mhm.
That could have maybe, what if, now there unfortunately isn't, but what if there was 50 people here that wanted to share their opinions? Wouldn't that allow us to have a little bit more input in terms of what the resolution would be the next 2 weeks if we all agreed to move forward on removing the light?
I think I brought up it would be helpful to have. I think this is such a hot topic subject in our community that it would be important to have a public forum of some kind.
Why?
Before
Because
we
there's-
hit the vote.
Because there's this many people here for the second meeting and we have one person online.
I mean,
If it's such a hot topic, you guys do what you want, but if it's such a hot
they're
topic,
afraid we're gonna
where
close
are
it.
the people?
Where
So
I,
Wait,
So I
guys, we have
just want to
270
bring
signatures though. We have 270
I
signatures
think
against it.
people think
they-
their voices have been heard through the petition process.
Right?
They
but that's
don't.
to close it.
No, that's to take out the light,
That's
right,
to take
Brian?
out the
See,
light.
it's not the petition's not specified, it encompasses the entire ball of wax. People are going mainly to closing it, and that's why they're signing it, that's my assumption on the petition. There's so many other avenues on there that petition doesn't specify anything, so I've been talking to people, telling them. Okay, even though we may vote not to close it, you do realize traffic will change, and they're like, I didn't know that.
I mean, well, number
Right.
one, it is in
So-
essence closing it.
It's
It
not
is in
though.
essence,
No.
well,
It's
if you
not
can't
closing
turn
it.
off the highway and
It
go
is
north
not
or south.
closing it,
Okay, it's not, can you cross north or south there anymore from Genesee?
but it's not,
No,
But
so that's
not-
closing that
no.
route, that's closing that route.
No.
it is still open. It's not a closed street like
Open street,
insinuated
one way.
by the petition.
Okay, so what is it, Brian, you just said a little bit ago, and this is a good point, you said a little bit ago that, without any major changes, which to me would imply don't take the light out, because that would be a major change, obviously, that's why we're talking about it. What does the verbiage say?
Right, so the general heading, I'll just present it to you, if I may, with your permission.
I don't
It
know
says-
that he has any right to
No,
make any
I,
comments.
we have, yeah, we do not have a motion. on the
We're
floor.
we're
We do not have a
questioning,
motion on the
Had a
floor.
chance to
Heard
talk.
Public comments.
And he does not have a right to talk now.
okay, so we'll just disagree on what the verbiage is, when we could know right now.
Well, you were provided, but
You have the
except for
motion.
the most recent signatures, you
I-
have a copy of
I
the
think it is-
petitions.
I think it is understood, I'm gonna I'm gonna say for the record that I'm taking the lead, thinking that the people that signed that petition do not want the light removed, and I don't think that is a huge logical leap.
It's not a huge leap, but there's also. People are assuming that the thing's gonna be closed with removal of the light. They're connecting everything together on closing the block. And probably 90% of the people that are signed that petition. I would firmly believe, think that they're signing it to prevent it from being closed 100%.
I mean, how?
Yeah, but how would you know the opposite
I
direction?
still-
Right, okay.
Because it
It's
said no
already-
major changes.
I just wanna raise this point, I still, and maybe the disconnect is solely in my mind. I still do not understand the benefit of removing the light that's functioning as it should, other than it's old.
Okay,
I do not understand the benefit other than the police chief said,
the mayor is
will
gonna
increase.
insert his opinion there. It is not functioning as it should. It impedes traffic rather than enhances traffic flow. That's my, opinion,
well,
and I am allowed. to
You
speak.
no longer can go north or south though, so it's definitely impeding being able to go north or south on Genesee.
right.
No,
How is it not?
Genesee Street will be northbound, 1 block from the highway to Knox. Southbound, 1 block from the highway to Maine. Traffic exists on Genesee Street under this proposal.
So if I'm coming south, Mayor, on Genesee,
Right.
if I'm going south from north side,
Mhm.
I don't see that.
I can keep going straight.
You may not, you have to turn one way or the other on Knox.
That's my point. You can never go, you cannot go north or south straight on Genesee anymore. That impedes that option. That's, this is, I mean, I'm not saying anything crazy. You
Yeah.
cannot go, and
Yes.
that's where buses go, that's where
Yeah,
parents
okay.
drive
It
into
is an,
school.
We do not have a motion on the table for discussion. Will somebody move to do this and second it, or otherwise I will stop discussion?
I'll make a motion, put it on.
Is there a second?
what
The
is
resolution.
what's the motion?
The motion
We're
is
voting for the resolution.
for open for discussion.
Or this is a motion to remove the stoplight?
No,
Resolution 2307.
it's,
Okay.
you're not making a
We
motion
have to vote, right?
for the resolution. No. Well, then you haven't made a vote. Yes. There's not a motion so far.
I think the issue, well,
Is there
I
a
make a
motion to
motion that we-
approve resolution 2307, which begins on page 48 of your packet? Hearing none, we will move on. Remaining items are for discussion. Agreement between the city and the library, as city administrator Melton teed up in his memo to all of us. It's mainly about mowing the lawn. Do you have any further things to add? I think that's been discussed, and you can see the strikeout starting on your page 54.
Correct, Mr. Mayor. This is just for your information for this meeting, so you have more time, I guess, to digest it. But this is just a renewal of the regular agreement. There are 2 changes. And that is, as the mayor said, the library board would like the responsibility of mowing the yard or taking care of the yard or the grass, to be 100% the city's. And then the timetable we changed to, for this agreement to conclude with the mayor's term, as it probably should, so. That's all, so this is just for information, unless you have any questions or comments. For next time, I'm very indifferent about mowing it, because. Yes, it is city property, but the city already had enough to mow. If this council wants the city to mow it, we will. I caution that because once again, we mow a lot. And people might think that's very insignificant, but we mow a lot. And, if you want me to in the future, I can put
Is the
together.
library wanting us to mow it?
The library,
Is that their
well,
want?
right now, we share cost, we have an independent business person
Sure,
mow
sure.
it. And the library board pays 70% of it, and we pay 30% of it. But they want us to pay 100% of it, yeah, so
How long does it take?
it's I don't know, half hour, it's not very big, but it's enough, it's enough, but.
I thought at one time we mowed it, the city mowed it anyway.
Oh, we did.
We
used to,
Yeah,
several
yeah.
years ago.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So this is just for your information, so.
Yeah, if you have any further opinions, share them with us at City Hall. I don't know if the workers have any opinion. Well, okay. Maybe
So,
we'll
so
just-
you're just, Brian, so you're saying for the city, those guys don't wanna mow, just because there's too much to mow anyway?
I don't know if it's that they don't want to mow because, they're gonna mow if I tell them to mow. It's part of their job, but
They'd have to trailer a mower here to do it, that's main cock, I think.
it's just one more stop
Sure.
along
Okay.
the path it lists,
Yeah. Mhm.
so.
Okay, also FYI, after the 2020 census was finalized, the city is obligated to examine its voting wards in the distribution. And working with the county clerk who oversees elections. She said, realistically, we can't even think about it until June of 2023, and here it is September of 2023. And we finally got some data that showed the distribution of residents by ward. Basically, wards 2 and 4, we have 4,085 people in town, so every ward should have about 1,000 people. Wards 2 and 4 have over 1,000. Ward 2 has almost 1,200. Ward 4 has 1,100. Ward 3 has 900 and change, and Ward 1 has 800 and change. So, we finally got some data that was publicly available at no charge from the GIS people at the county. And your mayor plugged in by census ward or census tract, which is basically city block by city block, or slightly larger than a city block, the population of each ward. And we tried a couple of redistributions of the wards to move some folks out of 2 into 1 and out of 4 into 3. And the result is on your pages 56, 57, and 58. The largest change is Ward 2, and unfortunately, on your page 57, that is the hardest one to read. But basically, the north-south dividing line between 1 and 2, and also 3 and 4, was Genesee Street. What this proposal on Ward 2 does, and 1, it moves the north-south dividing line to kind of a sawtooth to Great Town Orange, North, and Base to get those blocks out of Ward 2 and into Ward 1, while still maintaining contiguous wards, which is also the requirement, or they should be as contiguous as possible. And the population difference should be around 10% or less. That's the guidance that our research found. And the same thing with Ward, you can see on your page 58, Wards 3 and 4. So again, Ward 3 needed more people. So we moved the north-south dividing line from Genesee to Cherry to take some people out of Ward 4 and put them into Ward 3. And that makes the difference in population among the 4 wards. The largest difference is about 10%, but otherwise, they're almost 1,000 people per ward.
Mayor, do you have a handout of the population, just that, because, and maybe those are more up to date than I saw. That's not what I saw, I thought coming off of 2020, like, and it surprised me. But I thought Ward 3 at the most at 1,081, which again was surprising, but that doesn't even sound close to what you're seeing.
No.
Where did you, that's from the 2020 census?
Yes, this is GIS data that the county has.
As of like 2023 then maybe, or?
No, this is 2020 census data. Because it adds up to our total population at 2020 was 4,085. And I'll be honest, I lost 7 people, but I got the 4 wards to add up to our total.
Could you just one more time read the current population?
Okay, so current Ward 1 is 841 people. Ward 2 is 1185. Ward 3 is 936. And Ward 4 is 1116. And if you do the math, that adds up to 4078. So I'm missing 7 people. But then I tried a couple of different changing the boundaries, and the ones I just described and that are printed on your pages are probably the best we're going to be. And it makes it easy because we leave the north-south boundary as the railroad tracks. But you can move that as well and get some people, but it's mostly businesses on the blocks north and south of the tracks anyway. So again, this is just for information. It does need to be checked because it's my work and my work only. I did double check it, but a third party should look over what I did. And it's not drastic changes. And it's not gonna make wards that look like our state. I'm sorry. We have 2 state representatives, you know, and Polo has 2 state senators along with 2 state representatives. So I did my best.
Change becomes effective by November.
It would be the next municipal election, which would be the next odd year, 25. So we need to do this. It's not urgent. On the other hand, we need to be kind to our friends at the county who run the elections.
And I hope I say this clearly, tell me if I do not. Alderman Tickler, I think you would be the one affected. As I understand it, if it's as proposed, if the wards change, you would remain, since you've been elected, you would remain a alderman at large. This goes for anybody that their ward would change. You would remain until the next election of your term. So
And then you'd have to
doesn't mean
run,
you would be out,
and then you'd have to run in Ward 3 after that.
right?
Okay.
So. In case you.
He changed wards, you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You would have
Where he
to-
lives.
At the next election.
Okay.
You would have
right
to
down.
change
Okay.
if he's right on the line.
Is he okay?
That means
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's also, I didn't take into account where anybody lives, so that was blissful ignorance. Or-
Just go around the town.
So if you have thoughts, again, please email me or Brian with your thoughts or call, talk. I'm in the office every morning for the most part. All right, and then we have just another revisit of the capital plan, streets and utilities, again, where we think we're going to spend money. Looking a couple years in the past and a few years out to the future. City Administrator Melton, do you wish to speak to any items on that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. A couple different things. Again, this is for your information and any discussion you wish to have on it tonight. So yes, there are more capital plans and things to do within the city, of course. But right now we're focusing on the water infrastructure and the streets, because in many ways, these two portions of our overall planning can affect each other, as they may, as it looks right now in the near future. So, because right now, if you flip to the very last page, page 60 is our water infrastructure, and right now we're finishing up actually phase 2, working actively through phase 3, and now working on and planning for phase 4 for the next calendar year of 2024. But in 2025, as it stands right now, in the phase 5 plan, there's a plan to complete and connect the 10-inch water main, basically from our new water main infrastructure downtown at Clinton and Main, and take it directly down East Main to Jackson and connect the water main there. If everything would go as we would like and planned, that would give us the opportunity in 25, probably the fiscal year 25-26, to do or redo that portion of East Main Street. Because if you've driven down there, you better have a mouth guard in and strapped in tight. Especially if you want to even try to do the speed limit, which I do not recommend. So I'm waiting for updated, so that flips back to the streets and our plans for streets, which is a little still open-ended from here on out. I'm still waiting for, and sorry about the copy quality here, but the grayed out 2 portions of the street planning are East Main Street and West Main Street. And those, I think, they did have some old figures in them for either reconstruction or just improving those roads. So I am actively right now waiting for our street engineer to give us an updated cost estimate on those 2 sections of the roadways, so we can further plan for any street improvements. As far as funding goes, with the water infrastructure is a little more manageable, because we use EPA loans, and most of the time those EPA loans are at least 50% forgiveness, which makes it very beneficial to do those bigger projects because you get more bang for your buck. The street department's a different story. We have to solely use our funding for that. We have 2 pots of funding for our street department, our street improvements, and that's motor fuel tax and our 1% sales tax for road improvements. Motor fuel tax, and I'll provide more specific numbers in the future. I'm just trying to get you guys thinking. Our motor fuel tax is very limited. We only receive about 160,000 a year in motor fuel tax. So please buy more gas in town. That's my side commercial. Buy more gas in town, but that's been pretty historical average, about 150, 160,000. And we do a lot, relatively speaking, with that money from salt to some engineering services on projects, to street lights, maintenance and paying for the power. Along with our street lighting fund, but that's not enough. For the operational costs, so a motor fuel tax is very limited. Each year we do try and build a little fund to build that up. As you see, our current balance for the motor fuel tax is 439,000, but please keep in mind that 380,000 of that we're spending right now on our street project. And a lot of that came from, well, 276,000 of that came from Rebuild Illinois funds that we received over the last 3 years. So when you look at that fund balance, and it looks like 440,000, most of that's obligated. So there's not a lot of money there. We do have a healthy 1% sales tax fund. There's not a lot budgeted per se out of that for this year. We did our parking lots out to sports complex. We did budget money to any extent of a Genesee intersection improvement plan, that with every meeting, kicks that can down the road. So I don't know how much of that we would get yet in this fiscal year, but it's a restricted fund, so the fund balance is always there. But about half of that, right now, the current balance is about 721,000. But please keep in mind that at this time, it's not official, but at this time, we have put aside 300,000 of that for the projected bridge project over Rock Creek, the Crocker Bridge, in 2026.
Brian, didn't get around, is it around 300 from the 1% tax a year?
We get about 260,000 a year.
So we're about 400 with the two combined annually.
Right, so there is, depending what you end up doing with Genesee Street, over the next year or two, there is some funding for some road improvements. I would proceed with caution at this point until we get some kind of cost estimation for East and West Main Street, and where your priorities may go with streets, and we may become, where we're planning to do a fairly decent street project every other year instead of every year, because street projects get pretty expensive pretty quick, especially where we have to at least do, I don't even think the roads that we need to improve on are repairable with, if one considered chip and seal type thing. But at least the overbill, what's that?
You're saying we're kind of sitting out this year.
Well, no, well, we're,
I mean, I
this
know
year
we're
we are,
doing,
but, next year is yet to be determined. That's why we started this conversation now, because if we do wanna do something next year, in the next couple of months, we need to decide so we can get engineering going on that. But I'm just not very optimistic that we're gonna be able to do a big project next year, just because of funding and depending what you do with Genesee Street. So, but, and again, like I said, getting the projected cost on East and West Main Street. We might be able to do some little stuff, like some alley repair and some spots here and there, but if you want to do a street project, it might be an every other year kind of thing. Yes, sir.
Can I question the Genesee project at all?
Sure.
The, pastor, I don't remember his name. Mike. He was here, last meeting or meeting before, stating the water issue on Highway 30, and then, which is a concern, with passing cars and things like that. So are we grouping like the catch basin issue on the north side of the church and right at the corner there? Are we grouping that with what we think we're gonna do with that intersection, or is that separated from what eventually is gonna be done with the intersection?
The catch basin north of the church on Genesee is being done with our catch basin hydrant project that we just awarded the bid last
Oh, perfect.
meeting. That's the number one, that's the number one catch basin on the
Okay.
list,
All right,
is that one at Knox and
Genesee and
Genesee,
Knox.
okay.
which I'm not
So,
an engineer.
so
but
if we
that's-
do that, we would be able to tell if that made a difference going down the hill.
Right, we'll be able to experience the benefit of that once it's repaired. There's no water going in now, so it's gonna take some water after we fix it.
Right.
But the other part of your question is the,
Like at that corner.
the catch
corner of the
basin there,
church.
anywhere in that intersection of Genesee would be done within any project that you would decide to do at that intersection. It's not, none of those catch basins in that intersection are part of the current project we're doing.
But could we separate that out? Or no?
A lot of it's
You
state
could.
work too. It's not our project to be
We've already
working on
been
that
that
road.
road, haven't they?
Well, they've already been estimated in the Genesee
Okay,
project.
all right.
There's 2 or 4.
Well, I think
At
2
least
and
2.
1.
Is it even possible to put a new, entry into the, storm sewer, like a new, what do you call those things?
Catch basin?
Catch basin, can you actually dig in there and attach it to the storm?
Absolutely.
And basically, I thought the biggest problem is where that water sits, where
curve.
you got one here, and that water doesn't go anywhere. We could just put a catch basin in there and hook it up to the storm sewer, all go right in there.
Sure,
Yeah,
anything's possible.
and
I'd rather see a high curve than.
yeah, I would too, but I don't really see how that's gonna work. Nobody, I mean, wouldn't you have to deal with the road? And then you would have to deal with the state, and they didn't know how to fix that thing 20, 30 years ago. That's still got brick under there.
The road does,
I
or
think it does, that's what I was told.
Route 30?
Yeah. It was originally brick through town.
Originally dirt.
Or we would know, right?
Lyle.
My only point here too, though, is just to be clear, the water ones, those are calendar years. Right, as you mentioned, yeah.
Yes. Yes, the water infrastructure is calendar year.
And these are FY, that's fine, yeah.
So the purpose of tonight was just to kind of give you that intro to it, and to bring you back around, and once I get a little more information on East and West Main Street, just to try and kind of be thinking about, these streets that are listed and any other streets that you may have in your wards that, need to be addressed. I mean, they all can be done. We recognize that. We have to start with the worst and overall impacts, because as you look at most of the streets that have been done to date over the last 3-4 years are more of the major thoroughfares, more highly traveled within town, so we're trying to knock those out first, of course. More to come.
All right, thank you for that summary. Any
I
further
have a-
questions?
Yeah, I think maybe we should start doing some alleyways and, having the townships do those, cause we don't have a curb on those and they can do those. We did the street up there and off from, High Street a year or so ago with that outfit,
Is that Badger Court?
yeah.
Okay.
Kevin, is that still a priority for your constituents or?
I know that, alleys are probably one of the biggest things that I hear about, but it's down on the tree streets, they get pretty bad.
Yeah.
Any further questions, comments? We've talked about alleys before, we did that.
Is there getting downtown internet? I mean, we spent tons of money And we're spending with nothing. I had a couple downtown people ask about it. And they've been basically told, we don't know.
And they told us the last main meeting we had, it's our number one priority is doing downtown, and meanwhile, I've got it residentially now.
Yeah.
But I don't have it downtown. you know.
Yeah, so I've had business owners approach me, I sent them to Brian, because I have thoughts on it too, but I don't, it's the fiber that we had put in, okay. And
I'm
why
still-
can't anyone tell us?
Exactly, I've been, they go through people like, use whatever analogy you want. It seems like every week I'm talking to somebody different at Surf Internet.
Hmm,
I'm still trying to get an answer. As of late last week, it looks like we are going to have a meeting in the near future between all relevant contractors, High Fiber, Genesee, Surf Internet in the city to answer that, because I can't get a direct answer. I've been told, the only thing I've been told by Surf Internet is we are unable to use the conduit that is there.
oh, God, but they don't give a reason.
Why is that? Because there's fiber lines already ran in there. There's a line sticking in every building for fiber optics. I heard a rumor that so it's not, I don't know that it's true yet, but I was told by somebody that perhaps in some places the fiber optic was crimped. And when they were running and testing, they couldn't get the service through. So I don't know that for sure because I can't get an answer, but it looks like there might be a meeting soon to figure that out.
So nobody downtown has it, businesses or residents?
Not
No.
fiber, no.
And it's
I'd
all,
love to try
it's all
it.
sitting right there.
I thought
It's all ran,
I thought
every
Genesee
bill
was the first one.
It was supposed to be, yeah.
And if you talk to Surf for a commercial building, they're telling you is we're unable to
Right.
service that location, because that's on the main, the main street. Whereas residential, it's not an issue, they'll get you hooked up,
But it's already serviced, that's the thing that's crazy. It's all ran.
You have to
but
see
is it still
otherwise.
intact?
Huh?
Is
That's
it,
what we're trying to
you know,
find
kind of
out,
thing?
yeah.
I don't know if it's
Yeah.
crimped.
Haven't got that answer yet.
Like
Right.
an inch or whatever.
Yeah,
And since we're talking about it real quick, can I give a couple other updates?
Yes.
Had an interesting meeting today over at IDOT, but just to go on to that, so we hope to have a meeting soon to get that answer, because somebody's gonna be responsible for that fiber being provided to the downtown area. So just a couple updates with those projects. Surf Internet is complete otherwise in town. They're done with everything residential. Our Route 78 project is getting a lot closer. They're looking at substantial completion, supposed to be here the first week in October with project completion the first week in December. Fisher is looking at sometime in November. They're doing well, they're progressing well. They, of course, as you guys all know, received the project for IDOT for the reconstruction of Route 78. So was that helpful for us in the end? Not so sure, because their project got delayed a year, but they have all the main except for the one little connection between on Madison Street from across the wall. They got to connect that south, but all the main is in. They have all the services in from this most southern point up to Park Street. Now they have to go back and finish the individual services on Wall and Clinton. And then they'll have that done. You might see, well, you will see activity this fall only to be more trees cut down along Route 78 corridor through town. There's, I want to say another 8 to 10 trees that have to come down, and then they will get started. There'll be NICOR, they have to put all new infrastructure along there, and they'll be in there in they'll be starting the next week or two. So NICOR will be down there. ComEd has to put all new poles. They have to relocate all their poles, and that's supposed to be done yet this week or this year. Because IDOT wants all the utilities moved and ready to go before spring, because once Fisher can go, they're gonna get after it. They say May 1st just to be safe, but they hope to start end of March, early April, pending weather.
Brian, will we be contracting for the trees or will they?
No, we're done cutting trees down
Okay,
with that project. That's all IDOT.
that's all they're
Right.
doing.
And they, of course, can't cutting down before November 1st because of the endangered bats. So. But after November 1st, they're gonna cut the rest of them down. So there's gonna be a lot of, there will be some activity there over the winter months. It's just gonna be all utility stuff mainly, so. And then as you saw in the report, the mayor and I are meeting with the Region 2 engineer and a couple of his assistant engineers in his office. We're meeting with him the end of October about Route 30. And we're gonna take all sorts of things, donuts, wine, flour, whatever it takes.
We'll be on our knees.
To kind of put that relationship back together so we can get Route 30 done. So
Just have the meeting here and let them drive, like, meet out there.
that's what I thought, but I thought that would be a bad way to start the meeting. Just have it at super wash, so we have to drive. So they're aware.
I mean, for the record, last time they wanted to do it. Okay, and it was citizens in Orson that they decided to not do it, but they were game. And so, but doesn't this have to be earmarked to their engineering process and so their
Well, that's what
5-year
we-
plan? and all that
That's what we're
stuff?
gonna find out. And
What we could do, what's accelerable,
Yeah.
if that's a word. Yeah, no, thank you. All right. Motion to adjourn is in order.
Second.
Is there any opposed? All right, we are adjourned at 7:26 p.m.